Hello, welcome back to Sustainability Channel. I'm Tom Mottagier from DeFi ESG. So if you've never completed an ESG assessment before and you have to complete your first assessment, it is a very overwhelming experience. It soaks up a lot of time. There's a lot of aggravation and frustration that goes along with it. So today we're going to be discussing some best practice tips for submitting your first ESG assessment. Stay tuned. So if you enjoyed today's video, if you learned something from today's video, please tap the like and subscribe button below. It helps me out tremendously with the YouTube ratings. So before we can talk about very specific tips, we have to talk about the time frame. So most of these ESG assessments, GRESB in particular, they do the assessment on the prior calendar year. So if you're doing the assessment for 2022, they want to see information about what you did with your ESG programs in 2021. Sometimes, such as with risk assessments, materiality assessments, they'll give you, you can go back 3 years. But a lot of the other programs, they want to see what you did in the prior year. And generally, that porthole to enter the information from the prior year opens up in April, and you have somewhere to the end of June to upload the information. So again, they give you a good 6 months to upload and refine your answers. And I would start putting things together by section that first day of the new year. And as soon as that porthole opens, I would start uploading it. I would give yourself as much time as you can to get everything uploaded. And once it's uploaded, I would go back, I would look at it, I would think about it, make sure you tell a complete story, make sure there's everything you have for that particular item has been uploaded, it makes sense. When the evaluator looks at it, he or she can quickly see that, this is the answer. And if you're uploading a document and you can't highlight it, you can't mark it up, the circle where that evidence or proof is of that ESG deliverable, I would make notes in the actual assessment of where each of these things are to give the assessor directions, because I've submitted a couple times some deliverables that were spot on. I should have got 100% of the points. I didn't because the assessor didn't find it. And again, that's not their fault. It's my fault. I should have given them more direction in the notes and highlighting it or circling it. So when you're reviewing your submissions, please make sure it's very, very easy and very obvious of where each of your pieces of evidence is. So one of the quotes that I really loved and continues to resonate with me is from one of the private equity managers I worked with. And he said, "This is easy. It's about not killing the seals." And I find this hilarious because it's a lot more than that. It's about meeting the GRI requirements, telling a story, documenting that you actually do these things, and having a written program around it. That's what these ESG assessments are about. So when you first start, you should really understand each question. If you don't understand the question, you don't understand what the deliverable looks like, you're just going to be spinning your wheels on that item. So at that point, I would really engage a consultant or someone from your fund or someone from your corporation that can really bring clarity to that question and what that deliverable looks like. But if you can't figure out those two things, I would definitely engage a consultant because you are just going to frustrate yourself and waste time. Secondly, this should not be completed by just one individual or just a handful of individuals. This really needs to be completed by a small army of, subject matter experts from your corporation that can identify how to put together deliverables and programs around ESG for their functional areas. And after they put it together, I would have I'm going to call it a subject matter expert for E, S, and G. I would limit it to 2 or 3 people, upload these pieces of information to GRESB after they reviewed it, make sure it's good to go and it makes sense. And again, I would be meeting planning, talking about these things a good year in advance, because you want to give yourself a lot of time and you want to make sure your deliverables are professional, they make sense, you're not greenwashing anything, and they really represent what the company is doing. And again, this is a very time-consuming process. But my biggest takeaway from this is go through all the questions and make sure you understand the question, make sure you understand what the deliverable looks like, and then assign it to someone. But if you can't understand what the question is or what it looks like, I would most certainly get help from an outside party. So I have 2 other videos out there on completing ESG assessments, more specifically to the GRESB ESG infrastructure assessment. I have another video out there on maximizing your points, and I have another video on the overall process to answer questions and the best fashion to do that. And I go in a little more depth on these subjects here in those other 2 videos. Again, this is just an introduction of what you should do and how you should start preparing and getting ready for that ESG assessment you have. So to wrap things up, if you enjoyed today's video, please tap the like and subscribe button below. It helps me out tremendously. Secondly, if you have a video you would like me to make, or a subject you'd like me to address, or a question you'd like me to answer, or a sustainability solution or product you'd like me to interview about, please email me. I'd be more than happy to complete a video on any and all of those subjects. Okay. Thank you very much for your time today. Have a good rest of your day.